How's it going, wrestling fans? Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Wrestle Live, episode 28 with Phil and Don. I am Phil.
And I'm Don.
Welcome to a wrestling show that we can guarantee will have no zombies in it.
This is true.
This is true. A couple places we could start today. We got some AEW to talk about. WrestleMania Backlash, which I still only call Backlash, but that's just me. And we got a top three for you that should be a little interesting. We do have to start. I think the best place to start is with the sad news, and then we can kind of pick it up after that. We lost a legend this past week. Jerome Young, better known to all wrestling fans as New Jack, passed away at, I believe it was 58, which New Jack's one of those dudes that, like, if you told me he was like 45, I'd have believed it. And if you told me he was 60, I would have believed it. Because, like, he just kind of came on the scene and he never looked any different from all the, basically the whole time he's been around. And I'm not sure what the cause of death was. I don't know if you heard anything about that. I just remember reading that he had passed.
I heard that he had a heart attack.
Oh, that's rough.
I don't quote me on that.
Right.
But I did hear something like that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, New Jack is we watch these documentaries on guys, and like Dark Side of the Ring, they did an episode on the mass transit incident, which, in so facto was basically about New Jack. Like, they talk about his whole career and stuff, but like just an absolutely different dude. And one of the, like, if you wanted to show somebody that wrestling was real, that he's the kind of person you would like turn to and like show them matches of him. And, he's someone that was a character first, but could also back it up in the ring, and easily one of the most like influential people. He was in ECW, but really his career just like personifies before that time and after. And he's like, there'll never be another like him. He did things his way. And just not the traditional wrestler in the sense that you think of some of the other guys we've talked about that's passed. And for the life he lived, 58 could be considered, older too, because he didn't live the cleanest life at all times. But yeah, for it to, he seemed in a rather good place. You'd hear him pop up, here, there, and, talk with Jim Cornette and stuff like that. But it did seem to come out of nowhere. It was like he was in the hospital or anything. But I don't know. When you think of New Jack, what's memories go through your mind?
Crazy SOB.
Yeah.
Lots of real. That's the ECW legend right there. One of the greatest hardcore wrestlers of all time. He's definitely on that Mount Rushmore of hardcore wrestling.
Yeah.
The mass transit, of course, is something big you always remember.
Yeah.
And then also all the big like extreme matches. People getting thrown off balconies, people getting thrown onto 6-7 tables stacked up.
Mm-hmm.
Damn near killed someone. I forgot what Buddy's name was.
Yeah.
I remember in the documentary or Dark Side of the Ring when New Jack was actually like talking about it, and it just made me laugh. I shouldn't laugh at this part, but when he said "Comes way," it just tossed it, just threw Buddy off. I thought that was the funniest shit I've ever heard. Oh,
talk about when he would fling himself off. Most guys would frog splash, with their arms out. He does it like Superman almost, and he just like it's all chest. And I've never seen anyone do it even remotely close to the way he does it. And you talk about laughing at stuff that you shouldn't laugh at. For some reason, one of the main things that come to my mind and it's clips of him, in Smoky Mountain when Jim Cornette is booking him, and he's like, "Do you want us to do our character? Do you want us to do this, that?" And he basically said, "No, being two black guys in Tennessee is enough to get you heat." So he just told him to run out and do that. And one of the earlier promos, it was right after the OJ incident, and he's like, "Keep up the good work. That's too less to worry about," talking about the murder, which obviously is not cool and anything, but like I always laugh at that, even though I really shouldn't. And he's one of a kind, man. And Mustafa's tag team partner, really, as a team, they're originals as well. But New Jack, I don't want to say Mustafa's like the Marty Jannetty of the team necessarily, but like he was definitely the Shawn Michaels. He could be in his team or do the single thing. I think he'll forever be linked with the mass transit incident. And really, I'm so glad they made a Dark Side of the Ring about that, because I was always under the impression that incident happened and they rushed that guy to the hospital and he died like immediately after.
Yeah.
This dude lived like 10 years after the incident. It was just like a buildup of injuries that started there.
Yeah.
So, like, honestly, I don't know how that got, like, mixed around, but, like, I always assumed, like, this guy basically killed him in the ring. You know, New Jack killed him in the ring. Not what happened at all. So, like, one of the good examples of you know, Dark Side of the Ring giving you, you know, the great story about it. And we've both had a busy week. We have not watched the Nick Gage one, so we're going to review that next week with whatever one's coming out after that. But, like, I think that's what most people remember about him, but there's so much, you know, so much other things to do. And his promo work was second to none because it was, think Eddie Kingston in the modern day, but, you know, even up a notch, which is saying something because Eddie Kingston's phenomenal. It's just someone that you felt didn't plan any of this, was given a microphone and just told you what he thought at all times. And, like,
yeah,
you know,
and the backstory behind him is also like really tragic. Dealing with his mom and his pops. The drugs that he was on. He was definitely a personality of his own.
Yeah,
of his own kind. Sucks.
Yeah,
definitely sucks. I would have, and it sucks to say this too. I would have thought something else, something different than other than a heart attack.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Just because of all the stuff that he would talk about, like he was talking about it on Dark Side of the Ring.
It's crazy to think like how many people like in wrestling too, like we've heard plenty of stories of guys, you know, their habits creeping up on them, but there's these weird subset of guys that beat that battle that they had for a bulk of their life, and then, you know, something else ends up ending their life. So it's a shame, and that he was one of those as well. I won't really say he's someone who is active in the business anymore. He would do the occasional interview, probably the occasional signing, and in the rarest of occasions, you know, show up at an indie show to rough somebody up. But like, I'll end this New Jack talk with my like one personal experience with the guy, which was kind of crazy. Back when I would go to TNA all the time, I'm like 15 or 16 at the time, and I'm at the Impact Zone, and we're watching whatever pay-per-view we were at, and Low-Key, Senshi, Kaval, whatever you want to call him, he's one of my favorite wrestlers, has a match, X Division, like title match, beats, it was probably like Chris Sabin or Alex Shelley or somebody. And I'm, you know, if I'm sitting here, there's like two guys, and then New Jack is just in the crowd. Now, he's not part of the show. He's not signed to Impact. He was just, maybe he was taking his kids to Universal and decided to pop in. And I didn't, you know, like, I knew who New Jack was. I'm not trying to pick him out of the crowd. I'm also not looking for him at this show. But he's 3 to 4 people to my left or right. In my mind, he's like to my right. And, you know, Low-Key wins the match, and, you know, he was over at the time. Everybody pops up. They starts clapping. New Jack stands up, and he's like, what are y'all cheering for him for? I made his ass tap out 2 months ago, like at some indie show. He just rockets up and starts basically saying that Low-Key ain't shit, and everyone just sits back down. And like, it was like I was terrified at the time. Like you do not expect to. It's one thing if you knew the guy was there and it was part of an angle, but he just happened to be there, and he just like, it bothered him that everybody was cheering Low-Key and not giving him props for beating Low-Key at some other show. So that's one of you know, weird instance where I, you know, had a small interaction with New Jack where he was like 2 people to my right at a show. So that was my one interaction with him. But yeah, definitely lost a legend. R.I.P. to Jerome Young, that we all know is New Jack for sure. And that I'll end it here too. The Paul Heyman on Talking Smack, it was a great way to to show, you know, some, you know, New Jack was never in WWF or WWE, but obviously Paul Heyman is the perfect guy to speak on it.
Definitely.
Yeah, and his just ability was like, we can't really show you any highlights of his stuff here because he's the most un-PG wrestler of all time, which is a good way to look at it for sure. If you want a good laugh at you know, and you want to see New Jack in something, I guess there was a time where him and Jim Cornette were on like bad terms, and Jim Cornette's in the middle of a shoot interview, and New Jack just walks in the room and starts singing "Why Can't We Be Friends" with like 2 beers. Like he like hijacks the interview just to like make up with Jim Cornette. It's actually a really sweet moment with 2 people that you don't get a lot of sweet moments out of. So to have the one together, it was pretty cool. So definitely check that out. I'll jump now into the AEW news of last week. Actually, we got, you know, Dynamite coming up on Wednesday. The big news, will start there. Miro winning the TNT Championship from Darby Allin. I thought this was a really good way of doing it, and I think looking back at the run of Darby Allin, he, nearly 200 days. I think he had like 10 or 11 title defenses. His run's going to be looked at more favorably the longer it goes on. And Miro, like the farther removed we get away from the title reign, it's going to look, really impressive. But I think Miro, it's now or never with him. He's out of the best man gimmick, and he needs a really good run with this title to, he's someone that's older than a lot of people realize. So I'm excited to see what he does with this title. But the match itself, it was a little overbooked with, Sting getting jumped by Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page like twice, 2 different times in the same match was weird. And there was like 2 minutes left in the show. It was like 9:58. And I'm like, is this going to go to like a time limit draw? And that's how he escapes Miro. And literally with like a minute and a half left in the show, he just sinks in, the camel clutch type thing he does, and Darby passes out. So I'm excited. I like Darby as a person. I didn't think he needed the TNT title anymore because he's buddied up with Sting, and they're going to face some guys, which I assume at the pay-per-view will be the 2 of them against Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. So, like, while he was having these kick-ass matches as champion, he had his whole other storyline going on that had nothing to do with him being a champion. So you might as well, get that belt to somebody else so you can have 2 significant storylines at once.
Yeah. And am I wrong or am I right about Lance Archer came out at the end of the match?
Yeah, so that I don't know if that'll be his like first title defense, but I could see that being like where they lead, because that's a match.
Which big sucks, dudes, which sucks though, because who wins?
Yeah, I don't.
Lance Archer been losing a lot of title matches.
Mm-hmm.
So like, who's gonna actually win that match?
Mm-hmm.
You can't just have Lance Archer beat Miro in his first defense.
I mean, if you want, like you said though, I don't think it should be the first defense. I think it could be like have him duck him for a little bit, and then it finally happens. And if you really want to put the belt on Archer, you could have Kip Sabian come back and kind of cost Miro the thing, because he like broke his hand in the door or whatever. So he's probably written off for a little bit. So you could have Penelope show up and then Kip show up in the middle of the match, and like that's one way out of it. And then you can do a little Miro Kip story where Miro will obviously need to win that, because Kip winning doesn't help anybody. But here's the mind-blowing thing. We're in May already? This is the first title change for AEW this calendar year. Like, that's how long guys are holding titles in AEW, which is pretty crazy to see.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I did not know that.
yeah, because I mean, think Kenny won the title in October or December? Yeah, winter is coming, and then October would have been the Bucks then, when they the last major paper. So it literally has not even been the same calendar year for anything. That being said, I'm still waiting on my trios championships. I really want them to get those one of these days. And they said it was going to be 2021, so it would be cool to see any of that. But other than that, the other big things on the show, we had a AEW tag team title match, SCU and the former Chris Daniels and Frankie Kazarian against the Young Bucks, and and with the stipulation, of course, SCU's had for a while, the next match they lose will be their last, and they've kind of racked up all these wins, and they get the championship opportunity. And Chris Daniels got this crazy cut over his eye from what I assume was the turnbuckle, or I'm sorry, the ring post from the outside, and he was just covered in blood. Like, to the point where I don't think that was the plan. Like, he was maybe supposed to get a little color, but like this was all over the place, like change the ring mat type of blood. And even with him out of the match for a lot of it, there was multiple times where I thought Frankie was going to steal one against the Bucks, like the way he counters the Meltzer driver and everything. But it did turn out that, after a great match, the Young Bucks retained. I was a little bothered. They didn't really show the payoff of them, it being their last match. They came back from a commercial and were like, oh, this, moments after the match, and shows them like hugging and being all emotional. But like, that's not something you should cram into a replay after a commercial break, even if you got to go to break and come back and let that play out. I thought it was a great match and the story was told right, but like they didn't give the goodbye moment the time that it deserved, I felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard about that, because they also went to Eddie and Moxley trashing in the Bucks locker room, right?
Yeah, like immediately after the belt, like 1, 2, 3, and they just like cut to it, which was
they definitely should have at least milked it a little bit, and actually like allow them to actually split. And I would not have been surprised either if after they split, one of them turned on each other, and you always have that's another match you could have, and people actually would probably want to watch that.
Yeah, I don't think people would mind that match at all. But my next question was, I mean, Chris Daniels is no spring chicken. Is it possible that this is kind of how he bows out as far as like at least being a full timer, but could easily be his last match too? Like, what a way to go out if that's the case. I didn't.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Yeah, I didn't watch Being the Elite, but there's some quote going around where I guess he said to Frankie, like, maybe it's time that I lay this old body down or something like that. Like, if they want to dig that into a story of, Frankie trying to talk him, it's like we might not team anymore, but like try to talk him like not into retiring, which I think if he does end up retiring, he's going to end up like the Pat Patterson or the Arn Anderson that WWE used to have behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like he'll be right there with I'm drawing a blank. Jerry Lynn, like he'll be on that level of like coaching and producing and stuff. And like, I think he's too great of a wrestling mind to like just retire and not do anything with. So like, even if we don't see him, I think he's definitely going to be involved with AEW in one facet or another. And like, if that is the end of it, what a career that guy's had. Like one of the unsung heroes of like Ring of Honor and TNA and just those early, he wrestled on like Sunday Night Heat matches in the late 90s. Like that's how long he's been doing this, like easily close to 30 years by now. He got his one world title run in Ring of Honor. I always thought TNA should have given him one also because, him, Joe, and AJ Styles were like the backbone of that company for so long. And the other two guys were world champion at one point and he never was. But like I said, at least he did get his moment in Ring of Honor. And I think it was Cody that beat Daniels for the Ring of Honor title. Even that was a cool moment because Chris Daniels had brought back like the classic looking Ring of Honor title belt at the time. And even when like Cody won it and got the new version, Chris Daniels basically left with the old version. So like it like solidified classic ROH with him, dropping the title to Cody and everything. So yeah, just a really great guy for the business. And if that is his last match, what a way to go out. But I think he's got plenty to give the business outside of the ring anyway. So.
Oh yeah, definitely, man.
That cut was nasty though. Have you seen that match? Like
I
didn't, the ring.
I didn't see the match, but then I also did see though the stitches that that we ended up getting on Twitter. I was like,
and he got like blood in the eye too, which is
he was definitely gushing.
Yeah, so that's exactly what a way to go out, and that was like. I can't imagine that was planned to be that bad. I'm sure they weren't just like, hey, Chris, just slice your freaking forehead all the way open. So, but yeah, crazy stuff. Great match, great story. There was multiple it seemed obvious that the Bucks weren't dropping the titles, but they made you believe it for at least like there was a couple of reversals into like small packages and stuff that you thought maybe they're actually going to get them here, and then like because the Bucks are in this, they're intertwined with Omega and the Good Brothers and like. They're good as the champions, but like they have enough stuff going on that if they like drop the belts now, and then like even like a team like SCU, like they could rematch against the Bucks and beat them like, and it wouldn't matter too much. So like I thought, oh maybe they're gonna like hot shot it over to SCU for like a month or two, and then get it right back on the Bucks. Like that match made me believe that could potentially happen, but obviously they went with it this way. And again, great match. I just felt like that moment deserved more than just the replay. That's the one thing that bothered me, I guess. The other major AEW thing was, they made Anthony Ogogo and Cody official for Double or Nothing, but Cody cut this promo that got very like political almost, and it was like America versus Britain because where Ogogo's from or whatever, and. Because the week before, he gave him the gut punch and he threw the British flag over him or whatever. And I truly thought this was going to be like he was going to challenge him to like a flag match or something like the on the pole type thing. Yeah. And like the fact that this is just, or I honestly thought he was going to do, he was going to box him. I thought they were going to do like, get the Jake Paul hype, and just have Cody, who's never boxed before, against, Anthony Ogogo. But no, I mean, it's just going to be this one-on-one match or whatever. But, And Cody knows he can do great promos. This, to me, like, there was a lot of good stuff in it, but it didn't make a lot of sense. Like, it almost made me think, like, this feud is not that serious that you should have went out there and had this like 15-minute epilogue about something. But I mean, the match will be interesting because it'll be the first time we really see a go-go. He's had like a few squashes on Dark, but nothing crazy. So this will be the first time we can really see what he's up to.
Yeah, I also heard that Cody put this on his unborn child.
Yeah, he said something about that, and just this whole like the joke's going around. It's like, oh well, Cody solved racism with that promo. Like he tried to make it his like hard times, and he's had a lot of great promos. Like, and this wouldn't even crack my like top 10 for him.
For sure.
But he just really decided to just go for it for what I felt like was no reason. It's not like a go-go is going around like, I hate America and Britain is better and like it sucks I have to be in this stupid country. Like, he's not being your stereotypical foreign heel. So I don't know why we had to go like America versus Britain, because we don't hate Britain. I don't know if Cody doesn't know this or not, but it just seemed a little too over the top for me.
Yeah, I definitely understand what you mean by that. Now, the question is, though, who's going to win? It got to be Cody, right? He put this on his kid.
Yeah, exactly. He can't not. And that's what makes it interesting, too. Like, a go-go is going to be, it's his first granted, like, losing to Cody, there's nothing, like, no shame in that. But, like, unless they build him up the next 2-3 weeks, like, with matches on Dynamite, where he finally gets to, like, see what he's about and get some momentum going into it, that would be the only way. But I mean, Cody has no issue putting anybody over, really. So like, I would not be shocked if like, QT comes out, causes a stir, whatever, turn around into the gut shot. Maybe he slides in brass knuckles into a gut shot. I don't know, something like that. But I would assume Cody, but you never really know.
Yeah. Now, question: when is Double or Nothing, Dina?
Double or Nothing is May 29th.
You ordering?
I'm not ordering because I am going, actually. So shout out to Billy. Tickets went on sale at 10 a.m. and we're doing that, and we're doing the Fan Fest the day before, and we're doing the Dynamite gets bumped to like a Friday night for the next couple weeks because of the NBA playoffs. So
I remember. Yeah, it's gonna be
Friday, and it's not even Friday at 8. It's Friday at 10. It's a late ass Dynamite. But so we're Friday night. We're gonna be in Jacksonville that whole weekend. We got Friday night Dynamite at 10. We got the Fan Fest, which is like during the day on Saturday, and then we got Double or Nothing on Sunday. So it's gonna be one hell of a weekend. Bro. Hell yeah, for fans of the channel, the one blog I did for Winter is Coming got a lot of great feedback. So I'm gonna try and do another blog while we're out there. So. Tune in for that. Also, this past weekend was WWE WrestleMania Backlash, which I'm not going to call it that because it's stupid. So, I'll be honest with you, I did not watch this whole show, so I'm not going to break it down match by match. I do want to hit the high points here. The Mysterios, Rey and Dominic, winning the SmackDown Tag Team titles. I popped huge for this. I was hoping that this was going to happen at some point before Rey calls it quit. I thought this was a weird time to do it. They should have did it at WrestleMania, like somehow get that match on the card, or they should have waited till I guess in July they're going to start to have crowds back as well. So maybe Money in the Bank is they kind of shuffled the pay-per-views around. So like you think this would have been and granted, like if they just give them a really good title defense at like SummerSlam or something, it'll kind of be the same thing. But I was really happy to see this, and they're the first father-son tandem ever to win WWE Tag Team titles, which I believe that, and that is the case. But it almost made me feel like at some point that had happened before, and like there's been brothers, there's been cousins, but no, apparently there had never been a father and son.
Yeah, I never thought. I always thought about that too. Like this is the first time. I guess usually by the time wrestlers get older, they don't have their kids are not that old yet. Mm-hmm. As Dominic is.
I thought it would have happened like back in the day. Like Bruno Sammartino was teaming with his son. I forget his first name, but like it was more common back then. It was almost like, the aging dad would like tag with the young son when he's still like really green or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting that it had never happened before. But this was cool to see. Pretty decent match. I could have done without the whole. They jumped Dominic before in the back or whatever, and he came out like several minutes into the match. Like it's a tag match. Like, you don't have to hide Dominic that much. Like, he's proven that he can be great. So I could have done without the whole, like, don't get to start the match with them both there, but it ended up working out. Dominic hit a frog splash that people were really critical of. I didn't think it was that bad. I've definitely seen way worse. I think he hit him so square that it almost didn't look like high impact for what. Like, he jumped out. He didn't overshoot it or undershoot it. But for some people, a lot of people were critical about his frog splash. But, like, I thought it was, a good ending to the match. It was a great moment.
I thought it looked like it hurt. Like, it hurt both of them because it was more stiff. Because usually when people do the frog splash, people usually bounce right off of the guy. He just went straight concrete.
Yeah. So, and I mentioned the pay-per-views being reshuffled. It looks like June is going to be Hell in the Cell. Money in the Bank is supposed to be in July. Supposedly that's going to be the first with a crowd again.
Yeah.
SummerSlam is going to be in August still. Then we have Night of Champions, Extreme Rules, and then Survivor Series, which will be in November. So really, they're just shuffling those first few around.
Yeah, I think it's usually Hell in a Cell is usually in October.
Yeah,
that's the one.
They basically flipped Hell in the Cell and Extreme Rules.
Yeah,
that's like the main things that they flipped. The other thing, I don't want to talk about it, but we have to. The zombies. I didn't watch this whole show, and I didn't see. I saw this. I don't know where this. Apparently, so like Batista's in some dumb movie, right? That they had to promote. Is that what this was about?
Yeah, he's in a movie that's coming on Netflix, and I guess like, all right. So I didn't watch this match. Right, I wasn't watching this. I was watching the Shawn Michaels biography, and I got a message from John.
Shout out, John.
Yeah, shout out to John saying zombies ? I'm like,
what?
So I get on the Peacock app, and if you didn't know, on your phones, you got the Peacock app. You can rewind, pause, and do all that stuff. So I rewind it, and then I see that John Morrison looks into where the Lumberjacks locker room is, and there's a whole bunch of zombies in there. I'm like, okay, so this is where we're going. And then that's when they had the whole the promo from Batista from that whole video, the whole it's like a trailer, and they had the WWE superstars in there too. Supposedly those are all NXT guys, those zombies.
Yeah, I'm sure. But
I didn't even watch the match, bro. I turned it off because yes, I want to be sport entertained.
Not that much. That's a little too much sports entertainment for me.
Yeah, is trying to be like the Walking Dead type shit.
So when I was watching it, I didn't have the volume up all the way, so it wasn't until the clips I saw of this that I realized Pat McAfee was calling a pay-per-view. So that was pretty cool because when the zombies are coming around, everyone's just like, "We're out of here," and they just took off. And like, am I expected to? And here's the other thing: apparently, there was people in WWE that said AEW's blood and guts set the business back 30 years. That was an exact quote. And then you do this shit 2 weeks later. Like, you don't get to talk about what other companies are doing if you're pulling this. And like, am I supposed to believe that the zombies ate the Miz after? Is that what that was supposed to be?
Man, yeah, we'll see if he's on Raw tonight.
Yeah, and we will definitely see if we're on Raw tonight because thanks to Don, it's a great segue there. We're going to be in the Thunderdome tonight, which he gave me the heads up on when to get in the link. I've never done it before, and we might as well because, as we mentioned, it's coming to an end here in a month or so. So we're going to be in the Thunderdome here in about 20 minutes. I guess we're going to wrap this up before Raw starts. So look out for us. I'm going to be in the same shirt. I think Don will too. We're going to be in basically this same background. So look around for us on Raw, and we'll see if we can get like screenshots if we're able to see ourselves or whatever. I've never done it. I think I just click the link and then go from there. I assume that's how that works.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. My thing is I have my call time. My call time. They say that.
Oh, mine says 10. Mine says 10 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, mine says 9:45 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
So I guess we won't be starting, but we'll be on the show.
Yeah. And you did sign up before me, so it would make sure you'd have an earlier call time. That confused me for 10, but then I forgot Raw's 3 hours. So of course I get the third string hour, but it is what it is.
Hey, but I'm actually pretty excited.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you saw the guidelines and stuff, and I feel like we should definitely review our experience on there.
Next week we will definitely talk about it.
Definitely, man.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I probably wouldn't be watching Raw otherwise if it was like I watch SmackDown now when I'm any Friday that I'm home, but Raw like something really has to grab me. I'll usually put it on and then like if it doesn't grab me in the first like half hour, I'd switch to something else. But now we got a reason to watch. So next week, tune in to see how our experience on Raw was. Before we get out of here, one more thing about Backlash. So Roman retains against Cesaro via chokeout, which is a safe way to do it. Great match, hard hitting match. Cesaro still looks great. I hope they at least then at this point, like I said last week, make him like IC champ because then you can have Big E go after, or I forgot Big E's not IC champ anymore, but like Cesaro could take out Apollo, and he could just be that workhorse guy that truly revitalizes what the IC title's supposed to be. So that is something if they kind of drop him out of the main event a little bit, make him like your mid card champion because he has earned that in the run that he's been on.
Yeah, but it also seems like it's gonna they're gonna continue the Seth Rollins and Cesaro, which I'm not mad at because I love both of them and the two matches that they had were great.
I ultimately think we're gonna get babyface Rollins against heel Roman too. Like that'll be an interesting take on that old feud or whatever. But other than that, I know there was other matches or anything on Backlash that you feel worth bringing up other than the Mysterios and zombies. Mysterios one more time. Ray had the Adam West Batman attire, which was awesome. Huge missed opportunity to not get some Robin inspired attire for Dominic. A little bit of a missed opportunity there, but I still really appreciated that. I assume that's what Ray was going to wear had they been on WrestleMania. Because he always does comic book characters.
Yeah, because he always does overdo it on like pay-per-views and stuff. So I would have loved to see that on WrestleMania in front of people. That match should have definitely happened at WrestleMania, and Dominic and Ray should have won that match in front of people because I think it would have been a great moment. But other things that happened on Backlash that I loved that triple threat match. Both women's and men's for the title. Really great. Rhea Ripley retains. It looks like we're going to get Charlotte versus Rhea, probably a Hell in a Cell, which I'm not mad at. It'll give me a WrestleMania rematch from last year. And the Braun Strowman, Drew, and Bobby match was awesome too.
Yeah.
Smash Mouth, man. Them boys were hitting.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, I paused when I saw Braun do a cannonball.
Yeah.
When he did the cannonball, I popped a little bit. I was like, yo, his big ass is not supposed to be doing flips.
Yeah. that kind of reminds me, I should have talked about this when we brought up the match, but during the TNT title match, Darby did a dive that was basically like a cannonball into Miro, and that was easily the best dive I've seen in years. Like, the dives are overplayed these days. Guys do a little too much. Darby found a way to do. I got to find the clip of it. Like, it's the most perfect dive ever. It felt like he just threw himself in bowling ball form and just smacked Miro, and they both come tumbling down. Like, it reminded me of that bowling ball thing that they did. But yeah, very hard hitting match. Exactly what you expect from those three guys. And obviously, I think at this moment, Bobby winning was the right call for sure.
Yeah, but the only thing I feel like is gonna lead to is because they're gonna say, "Oh, Drew's gonna say I didn't get pinned."
Yeah.
So let me get my match 1-on-1 against you, Bobby.
Yeah. Maybe they do a Hell in a Cell.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind not seeing him in that match. Yeah. The only thing is like who would challenge Bobby next? That's my only thing.
Yeah, they have to build somebody up. They haven't really done much of that on Raw, which that's why they'll run this rematch into the ground because they don't reload challengers where they've done a little bit better with that.
Oh shit! I just remembered John Cena's supposed to be coming back tonight.
Is that tonight?
That's tonight.
Okay, good stuff. What we got? We got 20 minutes for. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up here pretty soon. I know on WrestleMania we saw the commercial for NFTs for WWE, and I think I saw a commercial also on Backlash too. So they're starting to roll these out. For those who don't know, NFTs are essentially a digital trading card of sorts where you buy a version of footage of a memorable moment. NBA has kind of started this. Their version's called Top Shot, and WWE is now trying to jump on that bandwagon. So it got me thinking, if you could own 3 NFTs, let's call it a minute clip at a time, we'll cut it off as, what would the top 3 own, out of video library stuff that WWE would own? What would your top 3 NFTs be if you could, pick 3 to start your collection?
All right. So number 3. Well, we're gonna go the first time Stone Cold stunnered Vince McMahon.
Good one.
Only reason why I want that is just because I love seeing how Vince McMahon sold
the awful sell. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just love the fact that Stone Cold ended up getting arrested at the end of it, and I just want the last part of the clip to be Stone Cold talking shit as he's getting escorted by the cops.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's number 3. Number 2, I have on here Shawn Michaels doing the dive onto what's his name, Razor Ramon on the ladder in the first IC title match on a ladder match.
Good call.
I thought that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I want the same angle too, from the ground up, with Shawn Michaels jumping off of it.
Nice.
And then number 1, it gotta be one of the best moments that ever happened in WWE, when Undertaker threw Mick Foley off the top of the Hell in a Cell. That's just seeing that on replay.
That's got to be when NFTs take off for them. That's got to be the one that's going to cost the most money.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
What would even be in the ballpark of that one, do you think, aside from that? Like, maybe, I don't even know if anything else gets put in that ballpark. I mean, so the one, I almost had this on my list. I did at one point, and I kind of redid it. Maybe like the pipe bomb could be one, or when Punk wins the title at Money in the Bank, like that, like the win and the way that he walks out of the crowd with the belt, and he blows Vince the kiss. That might be up there. And then and of course it'll be the Mick Foley Undertaker one, and it'll be like Boardwalk and Park Place and Monopoly, where these two are costing the most. The other one's going to be Hogan slamming Andre. That'll be the other one that costs that much. Yeah,
that is true.
Any honorable mentions?
Honorable mention, I got when John Cena returned in 2008, I believe, the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
Last participant.
Right.
I just like that because he came back from injury really sooner than everyone thought he was going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And then gotta be Kofi Kingston winning the championship against Daniel Bryan a couple years ago.
Nice. That's definitely a great moment. Like you could basically just start it at the 3 count, and that it's not really the match; it's the moment of him winning.
Moment after, because I felt like I was Xavier, bro. Like you could see the raw emotion, like they're really happy for their boy.
Yeah, so, definitely.
I thought that was pretty dope.
For sure. So my number 3, I try my best to go off the beaten path a little bit with these, because like you could do the Mick Foley one, you could do like Hogan slamming Andre and stuff. And I said I almost had the pipe bomb in there, but I wanted to get like the same way I am when I collect like cards. Like everybody goes after the star players. Sometimes I just like to get the players that I like, and they might not be as valuable, but like they mean something to you. So number 3, it's actually an ECW clip, but obviously WWE would own the rights to it. I forget the name of the show, but when it was Taz versus Bam Bam Bigelow, and the Taz mission, and they fall backwards and they break the hole in the ring. Yeah, that's just an amazing moment that nobody saw coming. Like the crowd was almost like hushed a little bit, and then like he gets him in the Taz mission, and the crowd's as hype as you think they can get. and then they go through the ring and they hit a whole nother octave that you didn't know was possible. So that's, a little off the beaten path one that I liked a lot. The other one, I kind of have an either or situation, but they're both Hardy Boys related. One would be the Royal Rumble 2000 when Jeff Hardy does the Swanton off the taxi cab during the tag team table match, because that was the first pay-per-view I ever watched live, and it's part of the reason that the Hardys are my favorite tag team. But that is interchangeable with the Hardys' surprise return at WrestleMania 33, which I was at. So they both hold sentimental reasons for the exact same reason, and it's Hardy Boys related. So either one of those can be number 2. And number 1, this is a little more mainstream, but it fits me because everyone knows that I'm an absolute fanatic for the Royal Rumble. So I would love the Shawn Michaels only 1 foot touched, because that is something that from now on they always had to say both feet have to touch the ground. That was never really, it was always said, but it was never a storyline up until that Rumble. And of course he was number 1 and British Bulldog was number 2. They last all the way to the end. He throws them out. The hanging on with the 1 foot and the other one doesn't touch. It's just beautifully done, beautifully shot too. Is another thing about it, like being able to see the replay and they slow it down, and the King is saying that, the foot touched, and JR saying that it didn't. It's the whole thing about it. And as someone who loves the Royal Rumble, that's easily, you had a Royal Rumble moment also, easily one of the most memorable. And it's something that still has to get referenced today, because you got to talk about both feet hitting the ground. And here's an example of when only one does. And they've done great versions of it since. Like, if there's an NFT of like all of Kofi's, creative spots in one, like that's going to go for top dollar. That would be another good one too. I have 2 honorable mentions. This one might surprise some people. The other one won't surprise anybody. But Paige's debut on the main roster, where she comes in and beats AJ Lee, where if you watched NXT back then like I did, I was flipping shit over it, and she wins, the WWE or the Divas title at the time, and she was still NXT Women's Champion. So that was, a pretty incredible moment. And again, if you were watching NXT, and that was a little bit before the secret of NXT got out, like if you knew about it, you were watching it, but it wasn't as, common. It was still like tucked away on Hulu. It was barely like on the network or anything. So like there were plenty of people that did not know who she was when she showed up on that show. So I would definitely put that in there as an honorable mention. My other honorable mention, a little bit on the goofy side, but I think this is a very memorable moment to a lot of people. When Raw is in Milan, Italy, and the debut of Santino Marella coming out of the crowd, winning the IC title, the version that's, I always do this wrong, the version that's right behind me there, which has always been one of my favorite titles. That's why I have one. But yeah, Santino showing up, and of course with major help from Bobby Lashley winning the IC title in Italy against Umaga, and they played it off like it was truly just somebody in the crowd.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny that, he takes his, he looks, he's in jeans and he's wearing just like a button-up shirt, and he looks like a normal, just Italian dude. And then he takes off his shirt and he's got that full lion tattoo on his back. And I'm like, all right, this might not just be your average guy. Like, maybe they're clearly doing something with this. And then, everything breaks down. It was wild. Like, they've never done anything like that since. And it's, it's not quite top 3 material, but like as an honorable mention, I thought that would be a pretty interesting one to have.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good list, bro. God. Yeah. I also was thinking like John Cena and Batista. What was it, 05? Yeah.
Oh, the Rumble,
when, yeah. That's when Vince McMahon tore both his quads.
I was gonna say you can take the finish. I just want the moment where he popped both quads out. That'd be a good NFT.
And in the way that he did it too, he just slid into the ring and both of them shits just popped.
Yeah,
it's just sitting on the ground like.
Yeah, just sit. Yeah. that alone would make a great NFT for sure.
Oh yeah.
And there's plenty of others, and again, I don't know that I even did a great job fully describing what NFTs are, but I think these clips of them would be great for sure. That being said, I have no interest in actually buying NFTs for WWE. I made a Top Shot account for NBA just to check it out, and it's kind of ridiculous. Like it's not something I would ever get into. But I thought it was an interesting top 3 that we could go into for sure. Yeah,
supposedly them things are like lots of money.
Big money, dude. I don't know if the WWE prices, but NBA ones, you get a Zion dunk could be like $750, And it could just be a random good baseline dunk, not even like. And the thing with NBA stuff, not to get off topic, like there's new games every day, so there's new
great things.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry just to talk about NBA different.
But
ball game. The whole the Nets versus who they named? Blake Griffin did a whole pass behind his stole the ball, passed the ball behind his back, and then I don't know. I think it was Kyrie drove it up down the baseline and hit the ball off the back of the rim. At the backboard, and KD came in for the dunk.
Yeah,
and then you just see the bench just. I just think that was pretty cool for the bench. Really.
Yeah,
I mean, you see those things all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And every week, and then the next game, something cool is going to happen again. So they're never going to run out of stuff. Whereas WWE, like, they're obviously basing this more off the past. Whereas the NBA has not made NFTs from the past. It's from here on. So you can't go buy like Michael Jordan's free throw line dunk or anything because that would be worth like $2.3 million or something.
My thing is, what do you do with it?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know. That's my.
What do you do with it?
Apparently, you can resell them, but like, I don't know. I'll stick to my trading cards. I'll buy a pack. I don't even buy packs anymore. I'll just go to a card shop and instead of buying, an $8.99 pack, I'll spend $15 to buy the one card that I want. That's how I am with collecting cards these days. But I don't know. There's crazy people out there that are taking all the fun out of collecting cards these days. Dudes are taking it way too seriously. They're getting cards banned from Target and stuff. Like it's crazy. But with that being said, guys, we're about 7 minutes from Monday Night Raw, and normally that means nothing to me. But we will see you in the Thunderdome at 9:45 for Don. Start looking for him, and then 10 p.m. apparently for me. So definitely check that out, guys. Enjoy the week of wrestling. We will see you next week.